Hello, friends, and welcome back to the New Beyond. I'm Judith Rich, your guide on this journey to the unknown, to the edge of our understanding, and beyond the limitations of the mind. Today's episode is about crossing a line, but not the kind of line we usually think about, not a boundary of overstepping, not a finish line of achievement, but rather an existential line, a spiritual threshold that once crossed changes everything. I'm talking about crossing the line from suffering to freedom. Woo, that's a big one. This is one of those episodes that might feel like a gentle nudge, or it might feel like a sledgehammer to the soul. Either way, I invite you to stay with me because this is a conversation about liberation. The Buddha said, life is suffering. It wasn't meant to be pessimistic or hopeless, but a truth about what it means to be human, to be alive in a body, in a world of impermanence, means we will suffer. We will suffer through loss, through change, through wanting things to be different than the way they are. And no matter how much we resist, avoid, or deny suffering, it remains. But the Buddha said, the way through suffering is not to fight it, but to accept it. And the Eightfold Path, taught by Buddha, is not about avoiding suffering. It's about meeting it, moving through it, surrendering to it so that it loses its grip on us. It's about releasing resistance, because guess what? Resistance is what keeps suffering alive. Now think about that for a moment. It's not just pain that makes us suffer. It's our refusal to accept it, our insistence that it shouldn't be happening. You've probably noticed, or have you noticed, that the more you resist something, the heavier it gets? That when you stop resisting, when you surrender, a kind of peace enters the room. That is the beginning of freedom. So we're going to talk about resistance because our human nature leads us to believe that if we fight what we don't like, we can vanquish it. We can defeat it. And I know in the world right now, and particularly in my country, the United States, there's a lot of resistance happening. So let's talk about resistance and how it works. We've all had moments when we resist what is. A health diagnosis we don't want. A relationship that's unraveling. A job that feels suffocating. The number on the scale. Oh yes, and the state of the world. We fight against these things, thinking that if we push hard enough, if we deny, avoid, or battle them with all our might, they'll go away. But what actually happens? They don't disappear. In fact, they seem to grow stronger. The pain deepens. The weight of the situation becomes heavier. The harder we push against it, the more it pushes back. Why? Because what we resist persists. Now, this isn't just a nice sounding phrase. It's a fundamental truth about the nature of reality and the energy that we bring to our challenges. Consider that resistance is the silent fuel for struggle. Just think about that for a minute. When we resist something, we're actively engaging with it. We're giving it our energy, our focus, our power. We think we're fighting against it, but what we're actually doing is feeding it. It's kind of like a tug of war. The more we pull, the more tension we create. The only way to release the strain is to drop the rope. But dropping the rope feels counterintuitive. It feels like giving up. And I know, those of us who see ourselves as activists, as social activists, see that resisting what is some form of resistance to what is our main tool of expression. Dropping the rope certainly feels like giving up, doesn't it? But consider this. Acceptance is not giving up. It's simply letting go of resistance. And then we're free to find another way to be with what is, in a way that is more effective, in a way that is more powerful, in a way that works. Take for example, in the area of health and healing. Imagine receiving a medical diagnosis you don't want. Where does your mind go? It immediately goes into, oh my God, I don't want this. I refuse to accept this. I'm going to fight it. This isn't fair. And this internal war that we wage with ourselves doesn't change the diagnosis, but instead it adds another layer of suffering, stress, anxiety, tension, and even more physical strain on the body. Now, what's the alternative? Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means we go to, okay, this is what is happening. How can I work with it rather than against it? How can I care for my body, mind, and emotions in a way that supports healing? You see, my focus is on healing, not resisting. How can I release my fear and trust this process that I'm in right now? And interestingly, the moment we stop fighting reality, we create space for healing. So while we're on this subject of health, let's take a look at weight and body image. Many people resist their own bodies. They stand in front of the mirror and battle what they see. And we say things like this to ourselves: I hate my body. I hate that part of my body. I need to lose weight. I can't lose weight. I've tried and I've failed. Why even bother? If I punish myself enough with diets and workouts, maybe I'll finally be happy. But resistance doesn't lead to transformation. It actually leads to more suffering. And studies show that people who are at war with their bodies are more likely to stress eat, binge, or stay stuck in patterns of self-sabotage. So what if instead we embraced acceptance of what is? So we stand in front of the mirror and we see the body, and we say to that reflection of ourselves in the mirror, I honor my body for carrying me through life. Thank you, body. I love you, body. Or we say to ourselves, I choose to nourish myself with love, not punishment. Or we say, I release the need for perfection and focus on feeling good about myself. For from this space of allowing rather than fighting, we create space for change to happen naturally. Think about your relationships. When there's conflict or issues that arise, how often do we resist people for who they are? And we say to ourselves, perhaps, if they would change, I could be happy. I don't like the way they treat me, but I can fix them. Or this is not how I want the relationship to be. When we resist what is, we become locked in cycles of frustration, control, and disappointment. But true transformation in relationships happens when we drop the resistance and see people for who they are, not for who we want them to be. So we would say something like, I accept this person as they are. I accept them as they are. I don't have to change them. It's not my job to change them. I can set boundaries instead. And if this relationship no longer works and no longer serves, I can let it go with love. When we stop trying to control others, we free ourselves. Take a look at your relationship with your work or your purpose. When have you, think of a time that you have resisted your work, your career, your job, or you felt trapped or unfulfilled? And what do you say to yourself? I hate my job, but I can't leave. I need this job. I'm stuck in this career, but I have no options. Or, gee, if my boss would be different, if my coworkers would be different, if this work environment were different, I could be happy. You see, the energy of resistance keeps us stuck. We resist taking action because we're so busy complaining about the situation. We don't make room for change. But what could happen if we shifted to acceptance? If we said to ourselves instead, this is where I am. I don't like it. I don't want it. But what choices do I have? So I begin to look at choices and options rather than focusing on what I don't like and don't want. Or we might say to ourselves, how can I bring meaning to my work, even in small ways? You'd be amazed the effect that even making small changes can make in your experience of a situation. Or if we feel this job isn't aligned for me, how can I start building an exit strategy? Resistance creates stagnation. Acceptance creates flow. Let me say that again. Resistance is like an energy block. It tightens and creates stagnation. Acceptance opens and creates flow. When we resist something, we're tightly attached to how we think things should be. But how often does life move according to our expectations? No, life moves in its own way, on its own time. I like to say lifes. Resisting reality is like trying to swim against the current of a river. The more you fight, the more exhausted you become. Eventually, you either drown or give up in defeat. But what would happen if you surrender? If you let the current carry you? You find yourself moving with ease. That's what acceptance does. It allows us to flow with life instead of against it. So, how do we let go of resistance? How do we cross the line from suffering to freedom? I'm going to lay out 5 points here. Number 1, it all begins with awareness. Notice when you're resisting something. Now, your body is going to tell you. There's going to be physical tension that comes with resistance. You're going to feel perhaps your heart rate accelerate. Maybe you're perspiring. Maybe your jaw is clenching, or your sleep is disrupted. Your body will tell you. So pay attention. Pay attention to the thoughts, emotions, and physical tension that come with resistance. So becoming aware that you're resisting is the first step in letting go. And then once you have become aware, before you go into reactivity, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what if I didn't fight this? What if I allowed it to be as it is? So step 2 is pause and take a breath and consider, I could react. I could go into reactivity right now, tighten and resist, or I could choose to surrender. I could choose to allow this to be as it is, because guess what? It is. It already is. So we're simply telling ourselves we're allowing what is to be what is, because guess what? It already is. And then step 3 is to reframe. And instead of saying, I don't like this, I don't want this, what if we shifted to, okay, this is what's happening. How can I move through this with grace? Step 4, trust the process. This is a big one because resistance comes from fear, comes from insecurity, comes from not trusting that what is happening could possibly be happening for you. So what if you were to trust that life is unfolding for you, even when you don't understand it, even when you can't see where it's going? What if you were to trust that life is happening for you instead of to you? And then step 5 is to take aligned action. You see, acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means responding from a place of clarity rather than reacting from fear. So now let's shift our focus for a moment to crossing lines. You see, most of the time when we hear about crossing a line, it refers to something negative, right? You crossed a line, you went too far. We use phrases like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, or that's a bridge too far, to describe a limit that shouldn't be passed. But what about crossing a different kind of line? What about crossing a finish line? This is the kind of line crossing that we celebrate when we complete a race, a project, a goal. It brings external validation, a sense of achievement and recognition, but it always doesn't bring freedom, right? Because we may be depending on that external validation when we cross a finish line. But what about crossing an existential line? This is something deeper. This is a shift in the soul. This is when we have a realization, when we realize something so profound, we can never go back to the way it was before. This is when we open our eyes and we see a new possibility where we didn't see one before. It's when we stop seeing life as something happening to us and start living from a place of trusting and knowing that life is happening for me. That right there is a game changer. That realization is a game changer. So the real question is, what is the line you are being called to cross right now in your life? I believe that we each come into this lifetime with a curriculum, a set of lessons our soul came to learn. And if we don't learn them, they don't go away. They follow us. They show up again and again, disguised in different people, different circumstances, different moments, until we finally face them. Ram Dass shares a story about a sage who was asked, "How long have we been on this journey?" And the person who asked the question is really referring to the journey of trusting, surrendering, letting go, accepting. And the sage answered. He said, "Imagine a mountain 3 miles high, 3 miles wide. And once every 100 years, a bird flies over the mountain with a silk scarf in its beak, brushing it across the surface of the mountain. The time it would take that scarf to wear down the mountain is how long we've been doing this." Let that in. The point is that we are on a timeless journey. So the work that we do is not about rushing towards enlightenment. It's about returning to the truth we already know. It's the moment we stop chasing things and start surrendering to the truth. And this is where we step out of time, out of the ego's endless chase, into the stillness of now. This is when we become receptive, soft, open, and quiet. This is when we cross the line from freedom to suffering, from attachment to surrender, from fear to trust, from doing to being. It's not about abandoning life. It's about living life in a way that is rooted, present, and free. So my invitation to you, dear friends, is this. What is the line you came to cross in your lifetime? Is it the line from suffering to acceptance? Is it the line from fear to trust? Is it the line from external validation to internal knowing? Just take a moment and feel what comes up for you, what arises in you when you think about what is the line you are being called to cross right now. And now visualize that line in front of you, like a real line. I once began a leadership training. I had a dream. And in the dream, I was standing in front of a council of wise elders. They were enlightened beings. They were all dressed in white, and they were seated behind a table. And I was standing in front of them, facing them. And in front of me, there was a line in the sand. And one of them spoke to me and he said, if you choose to cross this line, you will bring with you your entire lineage. And at that moment in the dream, when he said that, I could feel hands on my shoulder, on my shoulders. And I could see in the dream behind me, as far as the eye could see, my ancestors, my ancestral lineage. And I recalled what he said. He said, if you choose to cross this line, you will bring with you your entire lineage. What do you choose? And then I woke up. But I woke up with a rush of energy in my body because I know that I chose to cross the line and that all my ancestors came with me. And I knew in that moment that there was a healing that had happened, not only for me, but for my entire lineage. And I also became aware that crossing that line meant that my descendants, those who come after me, will have different lines to cross than the one that I had, that I was completing something for them such that their future, a different future, was possible for them. On the other side of the line, my friends, is freedom. It's not about giving up. It's about letting go. So what would happen if just for a moment you dropped the rope? Remember the tug of war? Pulling and pulling and pulling, and the only way is to drop the rope. What if you drop the rope? Whatever the rope is, whatever you've been carrying, and allow yourself to be carried. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Please share your reflections, your insights, and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, stay open, stay present, and keep crossing those lines. Until we meet again, many blessings.